a couple minutes late as usual. I'm like researching things and I get interested in something and then I forget that it's almost here and then it's here. Oh, I'm only 1 minute late. That's not bad for me, really. Truly. Not too bad. So, hi. Welcome back to Tarot Tuesday. I was trying to figure out if there was, hold on, I got to show you Ty. I don't know if you guys can see. See him on the couch over there? He's sleeping. I was trying to figure out if there is like a new name, like the new Tarot Tuesday or Tarot Tuesday revamped or something that I'm going to include in here. I don't know yet. And the time-wise, I was trying to figure out if the time was going to work for everyone because I know, I'm not working right now, so I'm like 5 o'clock. That should be good. And plus, I was thinking of like Steven and stuff across the pond and how late it is for him sometimes. Honey, hi, and Lori, hi. So if a lot of people end up not being able to make it, I may go like an hour later. I used to do 7 o'clock at night, which seems funny now. That poor Steven was staying up till 7 o'clock at night to start. Because, I don't know. That seems really late for him. Hi. But, we'll have to see if it's okay for a lot of people, then I will keep it at 5 o'clock. And if a lot of people have to miss it, then I will, hey, Pop, then I will, move it a little later because that's okay. Because I know, who was it? Somebody was saying that they, because they're on the West Coast, that means it's 2 o'clock for them, which I know is pretty early. So, hello, Pookie's here. Mary's here. Lori, hi. And Trisha's here. Hey, and Linda. Hi. So, this first Tarot Tuesday, I thought we would start the first one back by kind of talking about how we want Tarot Tuesday to run. And I want to go through the history of tarot a little bit. I was saying to my dad today that, hi, Ink Draven, that the history of tarot is really interesting, and I could spend a lot of time on it. I could spend like several weeks just on, the history of tarot, or I could just do this, this video and kind of give you an overview, and we could always, which is what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to just do kind of an overview of the history of tarot. Wow, this makes me look really yellow. Hold on, I might change this. Yeah, that's awful. All right, I guess that's a little better. Tarot Tuesday reshuffled. Ooh, I like that. Wait, I got to write it down. Tarot, because I like that a lot. Tuesday. Reshuffled. Ooh, that's super cute. I like it. Hi, Miss Hedgie. So I think I'm going to go through some of the history of tarot. We'll talk a little bit about how we want this tarot study to work. I did get some ideas from people over the last couple months of what we want included in it. If you guys have ideas of what you want included, now is the time, because I can kind of keep reworking it until we have like a format that seems to work really well. But let's start with that part of it. We'll start with kind of going over how we want the format to be. I know this one is going to be history of tarot. But once we start the cards, we're going to do one card at a time, one card a week, and go in order this time so that we can kind of talk about each card. Everybody can be ready for the card coming up. I would really like to see some more participation. I know everybody's got busy lives, and I certainly understand if you can't participate, but if you can participate in the Facebook group, that would be fantastic. I would like to see, your cards. We're going to start with the Fool. So I would like to see your Fool cards, your favorite Fool cards, or maybe something different that you look at the Fool a little bit differently, and this is why, or, anything like that. We are going to start with the full card probably next week, unless I think of, there's a couple other things that I can do. And in between, we may have a couple of videos in between that are not necessarily a card, because we want to talk about the symbolisms. We talked about going through the symbols of tarot. So like if there's a lion in tarot, what would that kind of be? Would we possibly be adding Marseille a bit? I would say it's going to be mostly RWS. But if you are interested in the Marseille, we could, I will say that I'm not a great Marseille reader. I always have geared my readings towards RWS, but I certainly have no problem with, and I could see at least adding a couple lines for every tarot, and saying, okay, if we were reading this for our Marseille deck, let's show a quick Marseille deck and say this is what it looks like. And numerologically, this is kind of what the Marseille would look like. The other thing, because there's quite a few different kinds of decks, right? We're going to talk about the Thoth Tarot. We could always look at a Thoth deck and just kind of towards the end go, okay, we talked about a lot of RWS stuff. Let's do, this is a Marseille one. This is a Thoth, or Thoth or Toth. There's a lot of different ways to pronounce it. And many, many people pronounce it differently. Who taught me how to say Thoth? I think it was, I can picture him, and I can't remember his name right now. But anyways, yes, so we could do that if you want, definitely. For sure. We talked about, now I'm not going to go into detail today on Pamela Coleman Smith and A.E. Waite. So maybe I should do one more history and go through that, since I focus a lot on that. Or maybe I'll wait till the middle to do that. I think it'd be fun to like really start the cards and then do a couple weeks of cards maybe, and then we'll go through some of the history of like the actual RWS history. I figured we'd start with tarot history in general, like general tarot history, and then we can really go into depth. There's quite a few awesome books out now about Pamela Coleman Smith and about the creation of the Waite deck. I fell in love with Mind's Eye Tarot, so I bought it. Yay, fantastic deck, and I can see it being great for shadow work. Me too. I know, I really have enjoyed it a lot. I started a journal for study. Ooh, nice. Yes. We don't have to do Marseille. I was just wondering. Well, I think that would be a good idea, though. That's another aspect of tarot that we can kind of add. Like I said, I don't think I'll be focusing on that too much, because I personally am not, I would feel funny about trying to teach it when I can read Marseille, but it's definitely not my forte. Tom Benjamin. If you're really interested in Marseille, Tom Benjamin is, to me, is the guru. And he's the one that I have been looking at and reading and watching and learning from on here is Tom Benjamin. His book is fantastic. But I can see absolutely at least doing a couple minutes on saying, okay, this is a Marseille. And if you were reading this as a Marseille deck, this would be kind of what I think about that kind of interpretation. We want to talk about the Fool's Journey. So my vision for that part of it is once we get to the end of the Major Arcana, then we'll do like a whole week of one video where we talk about the Fool's Journey and how we can use the Fool's Journey to relate to the cards before it, after it, what's happening during it, that kind of thing. Again, tarot symbolism. So different symbols of each card and what they represent throughout the entire deck. Correspondences. So what crystal goes with this card? What mantra goes with this card? We talked a little bit, at least for most of them, I think. We did a song. Like people talked about songs that went for the decks on our last study. So we could mention that again. There's so many different correspondences that we can work with through it. And then show a couple of decks. I did mention that I don't want to get caught up with this study, hi, Kim, how are you? I don't want to get caught up on this study with just showing different decks, because as fun as that can be, when we really want to learn about the tarot, I'm going to try to keep it to 5 different decks, and I'm going to try to make them like very different so that we can really focus in on. Please mention the songs again. Cool, we can do that for sure. I really want to try to focus in on the meanings and what we can get out of the card, and how we can use the card for spells and altar work and energy work and that kind of thing. Rather than, oh, look, this was a cool one, or this deck was a cool one, or that's the other reason that we can use the participation in the group to say, okay, next week we're going to be doing the Fool card. So if anybody has favorite Fool cards, let's see them in the group. You can post it in the Facebook group, so that maybe we can get away from having to do quite so many. Because boy, by the end, it was a lot more about showing different cards of that particular card. And I feel like we lost focus a little bit of the learning part of what the card means and how to interpret that kind of thing. So I'm going to try to hold myself back. It helps that 90% of my tarot decks are in storage still, from my year in the RV. Starting the beginning at 2 speed till I catch up. Or that in some decks that the wand is considered air and swords are fire, right? Yes, that's true. Absolutely. Sometimes that happens. That is not how I see the cards, although I have decks that it is switched like that. So I kind of have to step back and think about the energy a little bit differently. Tuesday's work is, it's a little later time-wise for me. Yay! Oh, good. Good. Great. So I'm going to try to hold it to 5 different decks. Not desks. 5 different decks. Not desks full of decks. Just 5 decks. Which, like I said, will be easier because 90% of my decks are in storage now. So, like, for instance, the deck that we're going to be talking about a lot today, I have in storage, a reproduction of it anyways. And I almost thought about trying to go through storage, but it's been cold this week. And I thought, oh, I don't know if I really want to start pulling out, because I didn't label like what deck was in each box. It just is labeled tarot. So I would have to go through all the boxes looking for one specific deck. I don't think that's going to work. Folks could look up the card in the previous study to see all the different decks. Exactly. And they will still be up, and I'm not going to, delete any of my videos or anything. They will always be up there if you want to see the different cards for sure. Hi, Crimson Moon. Yay. I'm so glad to be back. It was really nice to be studying for tarot again, to be studying how to teach, what we're going to teach, how to do it. You associate wands as air. Oh, that's so cool. I don't know if that's just because that's how I learned, but I feel it deeply in my bones. The swords is air. So, and I think because I'm an air person too, that it really connected me to the swords. So I have a hard time when I try to think of them as fire. I'm like, oh, that's not it. But I can definitely see where other people, especially if you learn that way. Can't always look through your walkthroughs to see cards. Yes, that's true too. Yes. Okay. All right. So, and then I definitely want to, I've been trying to figure out how to do practice readings, because I know people are shy. And it is not easy to do, to say, come on to the video with me and we'll do practice readings on each other. I know that's difficult. I think it is that wands in pagan is air and the athame is, or sword is fire. Yeah, but that's not always the case. I think, Danny, I wonder if it's a it's not only Marseille though either. I wonder if it's like a Western Eastern thing. We'll have to look into it. That's something that we can I can study a little bit and see what I can find out. Because when I learned my pagan path, I learned it the way that tarot is. But my teacher was a tarot reader, so I wonder if he felt that from, like, if he learned it from tarot or if he felt it and then connected. So it's a good question. That's something that I will try to look into for sure. Deep dive. Yes. Deep dives. All right. So I have been thinking about how to, because it's easier said than done to say, if you were going to do this for a love reading, you would read it like this, or this is some of the interpretations that I've heard for it. It's a lot harder when you're sitting in front of someone and someone says, okay, I'm going through a hard time with my husband or my wife or my boyfriend or my girlfriend or whatever. I thought it was some Wiccan traditions. It is some, yes. Yep, but not all. Again, I'll have to do a deep dive and see if I can figure out where the change was. Was I saying different decks? It's a different thing though to actually sit in front of someone who is saying to you, I'm having problems with my significant other and I need a reading. And you pull a card and sometimes, we go, how does this relate to the situation? It's different than just like me telling you is different when you're trying to read it for yourself or for others. And I will say the other thing is, it is a different thing to read for someone else as it is. Some people have a really hard time reading for themselves and need someone else's opinion on it, which is fine. I find generals harder. I know it's hard. And most people, right? I don't know about you guys, but I would guess probably 90% of querents who I have read for don't have a specific question, or have, at least at first, have a very hard time speaking a question aloud because they don't even know if they should be asking it, right? That everybody's kind of self-conscious about saying their question out loud, or saying it to someone they don't know, or that kind of thing. Someone who loves watching forgers. Swords are made with earth and fire. I like that. I could feel that. I don't know if I could then transfer that to the cards though, and it might be just a mental block. Is that how you feel with every deck you have used, or just a specific one? No kidding. You feel it with every deck. That's so interesting. Does it? So you've watched my tarot teachings before, right? Does it still make sense to you when we talk about the meanings, or is it a little off because I'm such an air person? If we're talking about swords, is it ever off the interpretation that you find in the book for tarot, or whatever deck you're using? Do you find that it's a little off because it's not quite the energy that you're feeling? Yes, you can set a wand on fire and use it like a torch, for sure. And I can see where some of that energy could be interchangeable with some cards. One should never ask about medical, legal, or pregnancy. If one's curious if they're pregnant, go piss on a stick. Journal prompt. Yes, and that's a personal thing, right? I've had people ask me medical questions. When we talk about tarot ethics, which definitely we'll talk about tarot ethics again, we have in the past, but we will again. It will be a reader. That is definitely up to the reader. Do you want to be answering questions about pregnancy, about medical, legal, that kind of stuff? That will be entirely up to you. I have refused some questions about that stuff before, and I have intuitively sometimes felt that The cards want me to pull them and it'll be okay. And it's funny, when I have answered questions about that, usually it is less about their actual question and more about the tarot calling them out, like saying, okay, if you really need to know if you're pregnant, it's because you're having an issue with your spouse. So there are issues here, whether you're pregnant or not, that you're going to have to deal with. You know what I mean? Like that, it usually is something that tarot is like, oh yes, let's answer that question, please. Because I'm going to bam, call them out on it, right? Okay, so that is some of the things that we are going to go over in each individual card. Let's talk a little bit, yay, about the history of tarot. Now, I don't know if you guys saw on Facebook, I had been talking about getting the Llewellyn books, and I did get all 3 of them. And thank you to my father. 2 of them were my Mother's Day gift. And from him, and so I did manage to get all 3 of them. So there's a couple things in the Tarot Fundamentals book about the history of tarot that I want to go over. The first thing I loved, and it's in the beginning. The books are great. They are super in depth about things. I will tell you that it's not overwhelming, but I would just keep in mind that I will be using these as reference books. I do not see these books as books that I would be reading from cover to cover, even though you might be able to, but it would be a lot. There are 3 volumes and there is a lot in there, and it is about everything you can think of about tarot. So there is the Kabbalah references are in here. There is so much like chock full information. Astrology is in here. There's the history part. There's so much information here that I don't know if I would read them from cover to cover for sure, but I will be referencing these books as part of our study. Used to keep a reference list for legal aid, free clinics, and counseling service locally for clients when doing readings. That is a fabulous idea for sure, especially local. Like, it's harder when you're doing online reading, although there are, I keep the mental health number. There's a national mental health number, phone number now. I definitely keep that around. That is a fabulous idea, though. And if you're doing in-person, like local readings in person, that would be great to have all those local numbers. There's a book called something like 1,000 Tarot Questions, and it gives you a fake person with a question so you can get practice on. Oh, I bet you that's a good idea, Trisha. Is that Sasha Graham? She has so many like these cool, and Sasha Graham wrote a lot of these volumes too. So she has a lot of like, she has 1,000 tarot spreads or something. So it makes me think it could be her. Like Holistic Tarot. Yes, I read for reference. Exactly. Me too. Because that's an awesome book, but there is a lot in there. Yes. All right. I wonder if that's Sasha Graham. Speaking of, this thing that I'm going to start with, we're going to start out the history of tarot by reading in the beginning of the first book, Tarot Fundamentals, of the Llewellyn tarot books. Sasha Graham wrote something called The Tarot City. And I liked it so much that I thought, you know what, we're going to start out with reading this Tarot City, which is a little bit long. Oh boy. All right, it is kind of long. Maybe I should skip it. I don't know. If you guys are okay, we'll talk about it in between if you want. It's so good. It's a good beginning on history, and I like the way Sasha brings this up. We'll be doing just the uprights. This time I thought we would go over the reversals too. Again, I don't know if I would focus on reversals because I generally don't feel the need to use reversals because as an intuitive reader, and I think a lot of people are like this, although some people, I shouldn't say that, some people do definitely use reversals, but as an intuitive reader, I tend to be able to see without reversals which side of the card, like the universe will make me look at a specific image in the card. So if I'm supposed to see the reversal meaning in the card, I will see that anyways. And there's something, I think it has to do with ADD, but there's something in my brain that if it's upside down, it's wrong and I want to switch it. So I've never done well with the cards being upside down and stuff because I don't know, my brain is like, nope, that's incorrect. I need to switch it. Tarot Tells the Tale. Oh, yes, is a good book. Yes, I have that book someplace. I'm sure it's in storage, but I do have that someplace. It's a good book featuring readings using fairy tale characters. Yes, that was good. And we talked before about doing readings for your favorite TV characters. Like if you have a favorite show, let's say Buffy, even though it could be something different. You could do readings for, oh, look, in this situation, Willow is going through this. Do a reading for Willow. That's a good way to do it too, and see what cards come up and pretend that you're doing a reading for your favorite characters. 2000 Tarot Practice Questions by Elizabeth Smith. Hold on, I want to write that down. 2000 Tarot Questions by, hi Donna, Elizabeth Smith. I think that's where intuition comes in handy when you feel it's more reverse meaning. Yes, exactly. I agree completely. But I thought we would go over the reverse meanings in this study also. I started tarot with doing reverses, so I stuck with that method. Absolutely. Will enjoy challenging myself without. And like I said, it's different strokes for different folks, right? We will definitely go through the fact that intuition holds a huge, huge place in tarot reading, especially today. I absolutely recommend having a base knowledge of the quote unquote basics of what each of the cards means, at least 2 or 3 keywords. If you can come up with 2 or 3 keywords of what each of the cards was created for, or that kind of thing, then your intuition can go from there. There's times where I have pulled a card and what has come out of my mouth almost has nothing to do with the card. And I think, where in the world did I get that from? But it has always been, that's what they were supposed to hear. That's what the universe was saying. Oh, pay attention to this one weird cup that fell funny, or that, and then I go from there and stuff comes out of my mouth that I think, I don't know how in the world I got that from that card. I don't usually read that like that at all. And that is perfectly okay. So we, if you guys know me, you know, if it works for you, it works. I'm never going to tell you that your tarot readings are incorrect. That is not going to come out of my mouth, because we really, at least here, I really encourage you to use your intuition and to open yourself up to spirit and to the universe, and they will show you what it is you're supposed to be saying. There is nothing that that I will be telling you that's incorrect. I have to learn to trust my gut feelings more. Yes, absolutely. I feel like there was a generation where every tarot reader did reversals. That's true. Then they stopped, and now all the younger new readers are doing reversals again. I've noticed that too, Trisha. I think that people have learned doing reversals, and that's okay. Watching Stephen. Yes, I love Stephen's daily readings. That I don't always have time to do it, but I always get something out of it every time I do. I probably at least a couple times a week I tune in for sure. And Stephen is such a great reader. Just fabulous. He's such a great reader. And the things that he pulls from those cards, just sometimes I'm like, oh, that's so good. I agree. Stephen at Sound of an Ocean Wave is really, really great at pulling some things from those cards, boy, that are just amazing for your everyday learning stuff. So he's a good resource for sure. Sound of an Ocean Wave. Okay. I swear it's been so busy. Now I have, just as an aside, sorry, squirrel. I have been gotten super busy, and I don't have a job still, which is awesome. I don't think I'm going to need to have one now. But I have become the chauffeur because we only have like a couple cars. So my son PJ takes the one car to Rochester to work in the morning, and so I have been taking, Joey is taking CNA classes now. I'm so excited, and Frank is working, and Peter is working, so I have become the chauffeur. I get up and take them to work, school, and all that, and then come home and do what I do with Bubba here and all that kind of thing. So I've had less time to do the videos than I wanted, but I think it's just a matter of getting into a routine, and then I'll be okay. I'll be better at it again. So I was going to actually do this whole, hi, Allie, reverse due to intuitively pulled to do so. So pun intended. There you go. I was going to do a video just reading this Sasha Graham, The Tarot City by Sasha Graham, because it is somewhat long. But if you'll bear with me, I really think it's worth it. It's really good. It's like 4 pages, which really, it won't take us too long. It's probably going to be about a 10-minute read here. So good, though. I really liked the way she put this, and it really puts you in the mindset of, oh, this is great. I'm going to love learning like this. I've had an odd schedule this year, and I made a personal goal that his videos are the first thing I'll absolutely watch. Awesome. I love that, because really his videos are less than 10 minutes a day. So really, really great. These books are, don't close the page. These are the Llewellyn reference books. Tarot Fundamentals is the one I'm really using a lot of today. When we get into the individual cards, I'll also be picking up Tarot Experience. That's book 2. That's the second book, reference book. And then the third one is the Tarot Compendium. And they are the Llewellyn Tarot reference books, which Amazon is it's like they haven't kept printing them, or maybe they're not offering them to Amazon anymore. So look for them on the Llewellyn site. If you look for them on the Llewellyn site, they still have them. Because I was thinking they might be out of print, and in Amazon they're charging a lot more for them, and they're usually used and stuff. So look at Llewellyn. Okay, so this is by Sasha Graham, who I love, and it is called The Tarot City. Welcome to this beautiful city. Let's begin with the regal royal way. Do you see that looming castle up ahead? I ask. This main cobblestone street leads to court, where the kings, queens, knights, and pages live and play. I think I want to get at least one of the books if I can. I'll go through the first card we do. I'll kind of open them up and show you what each one has so that you can decide. I will say that I really like the fundamentals, but it depends on what you're looking for a lot, because there's different things in each one. So, and you can message me if you want. I'll kind of give you an idea. Their royal lives are spent dancing, laughing, and ruling from within the great halls overlooking this city. Girls go mad for the Knight of Swords, the dangerous bad boy hero of the deck. Let me lower this just a little. Okay. Women seek to embody the Queen of Wands, famous for her beauty and magnetic charisma. Children laugh and chase the Page of Cups, who exudes the dreamy fun of youth with every somersault. Men revere the King of Pentacles, financial genius. You will quickly discover the regal ones represent aspects of your very own personality. They are you. They can also represent other people in your life. I say, a sharp sound catches your attention. A parade is snailing its way through town. We run over to watch the commotion. Smiling townspeople wave to the passing floats. A red float. This particular makes me want to have a tarot parade. I don't know about you guys, but when you hear about the parade, I'm like, I want to have a tarot parade. A red float carries a handsome young man and woman. They gaze at each other while a soft, pudgy fellow, wearing what looks to be a makeshift diaper and glitter wings, dances around the couple. The man baby slings fake arrows into the crowd. The onlookers go crazy. That is the triumph of love, and that is the angel Cupid, I explain. And here comes the devil. A black float creeps forward. Dancers in scarlet costumes leap and twirl, representing the devil's flames. The great demon is topless, horrific looking, his bat wings bobbing, making gnarled faces at the crowd. He invites them to join him in the empty seat next to his. Boos and hisses echo from the townspeople. I'm going to keep going. As an aside, that's not how I see the devil card quite so much. Keep going, Jen. Don't squirrel. Okay. A colorful jester runs between the floats, stops to cartwheel, and dances a jig. A group of children collapse in giggles. There's the fool. He rides on no float. He goes where he likes, I explain. A massive glowing ball attached by strings like a hot air balloon brings up the last float. Glittering aerialists adorned as sparkling angels swing through the air next to it. This is the world, also known as fame, and it triumphs everything that has come before. This is the Arch of Triumph, the Parade of Triumphs, and the standard parade of the Middle Ages. It had its start in ancient Rome. These parades likely influenced our modern tarot trumps, each allegory trumping the next, I explain while grabbing your hand. The parade is done. Come this way. Here is Museum Mile, I point out. We walk past the granite Corinthian columns into a stunning art gallery. People speak in hushed tones and gaze up at the art adorning the walls. As a little aside, I will say the editing of this book leaves much to be desired. There's some sentences that are missing words and stuff, which is slightly annoying. You would think that they would have a good editor, but okay. Here we find the very first tarot decks. These are the Visconti Sforza cards, brilliant miniatures painted with real gold. Renaissance artist Bonifacio Bembo made them for a noble family. Must be nice to have that kind of money, huh? He painted next to Leonardo da Vinci. Tarot comes to us from the Renaissance, but we have it all here. Pulled up the books, looks about $43 on the Welland site for each book. Also added them to my thrift books. Good idea wish list, and the compendium is about $8 cheaper. The others are out of stock. Whoa, I got them at just the right time then. No kidding. All the variations tarot has taken over the years. The only real requirement to make a tarot deck is that the cards contain the major arcana. But look here. Here is the mysterious Minciotti deck with an additional 25 major arcana cards. There is not one true tarot, but many shapes and forms, and they hang before you. How cool would it be to have a tarot museum, right? Taking you by the hand, we slip through a side door. In a moment, the grand gallery makes way to exposed wood floors. Fresh air blows across your skin from the open windows. The hallway is lined with doors, some offering a peek. Poking your head inside, the pungent smell of oil paints and solvents hits your nose. A brooding artist slaps paint across his canvas. He is finding his expression of the Five of Cups, I whisper. These are the artists who are creating new decks. The next studio brings us to an artist bent over a table. The cool glow of a computer screen illuminates her face while she carefully digitizes her art, creating a new set of 78 cards. You peek into the next room and the stillness of an empty studio greets you. Perhaps one day you will take a seat in that space, I suggest. You hear the closing of a door and look up to see the brooding artist, wiping the sweat from his brow and looking up. He brushes through you as if you were nothing more than a ghostly apparition. Feeling compelled to trail him, we follow his rapid gait. The sun sets against the stark outline of this strange city. Lamps blaze to life. Each enclosure is comforting, enchanting. The artist stops and throws open a door. The sound of chaos escapes. The acrid smell of smoke hits your nose. A palatable heat emanates from inside the room, and compared to the sudden chill filling the streets, you are drawn deeper into the tavern. Inside, men, their rosy red cheeks betraying the amount of drink they have consumed, sprawl. A fight erupts. A man crashes into a table. Drinks and food fly through the air, and he's swiftly thrown out the door. Oblivious tavern men remain bent in game, playing cards, betting money, laughing, and drinking. These taverns are where tarot games were played once tarot left the courts. In this tavern, alleys, and game rooms of the past, tarot was used for nothing more than games of chance and skill. No fortune telling here, I say, taking a deep swig of cold beer. Now, I need you to be brave. Don't freak out, I say. I lead you out the back door. The roar of the pub subsides in the lonely alley, and a lone rat scurries away. The lights are dim as we move together. All is silent, but only our echoing footsteps. A face emerges from shadow. Beautiful, sparkling eyes and cherry lips draw you in. Looking closer at the dimness from which she emerged, you shrink back in horror. Her lively eyes are now cloudy white and lips bare, revealing a row of rotting teeth. You sense more movement in the shadows, slithering like cockroaches. This alley is filled with shadow people, some blatantly showing themselves, others content to lurk. These are charlatans who use their trickery and deception to gain people's trust, then lie. They claim to see bad mojo in the cards, dark energies around their client's life. They claim to see disaster. Then for a price, they will fix the disaster. For money, they provide prayers, candles, and spells to scare the evil away. Stop and ponder these liars. Examine how they operate. Decide for yourself, should you pursue reading the cards for cash, what boundaries you will place for yourself and your clients. Think of your intentions the moment a person puts their trust in your hands. Come on, let's go. We head around a corner. And that's super important. I love the way that she puts that. It was really good. An old theater with a glowing marquee light lights up the street ahead. A cold knob turns in the palm of your hand. You pull open the heavy glass doors, enter the theater, no ticket required. Red velvet carpet lines the walls and floor, the sweet scent of sugar mixed with the fluffy scent of fresh popped popcorn. Walking down the aisle, you take a seat. A gentleman stands before you on stage. He wears a headdress, a cloak, and stands above a table. Magical implements glimmering before him. He is surrounded by a group of robed people and initiates these people through a strange ceremony. They repeat after him in curious words. You have just entered the arena of ceremonial magic. I whisper, munching on a handful of popcorn. These magicians use tarot to conjure magic, contact angelic beings, travel between worlds, and manipulate reality. They operate in a world of symbol and poetry. They change shape, travel shamanistically, use tarot as their doorway. They had their heyday in the 19th century. Some remain in our modern times. You are about to grab some popcorn when we are off once again. Out the backstage door, you see rows and rows of offices on the street. This is the therapeutic section of town. It is bustling with Jungians and psychotherapists. These professionals connect each and every point of tarot with the human psyche. They use tarot to analyze thoughts, motivations, and urges. They operate in a world of symbol and uphold the idea of the archetype. An archetype is the great structure of shared human experience, and it thrives in our collective unconsciousness. This is the basis of tarot. They will interpret the theme of a dream with their cards and tell you what your subconscious wants you to know when you can't hear it. I want to show you the witches. We head toward a river, and the air becomes humid, thick, and full of the scent of honeysuckle and roses. We peek through a rusty window and discover a small, raven-haired, solitary witch. She places cards before her: the magician, the star, and the moon. She is using the tarot for her magic spell. Each card contains specific energy. Her magic and subconscious will pick up on it in order to manifest her wish. Outside a hut, there is an older woman. She utters Spanish words and stabs the heart of a white dove. You realize the dark stain spreading across the bird's snow-white feathers is blood. Looking closer, you see her dripping the animal's blood over something. It is a card, the devil card. She is breaking a spell cast on her by another witch, I say, as I clasp your hand and pull you away again. There's lots more I could show you, gypsies, alchemists, myth makers, but I think this is enough for now. You know there's a reason bookstores often keep tarot decks and tarot books behind their counters. They are the most shoplifted items in the store. These are grimoires of wisdom and books of knowledge. Tarot contains the breadth of human experience. It reflects our souls, the scope of our humanity. What we are, what we desire, what we strive to be is all there in 78 cards. Amazing how pictures on flimsy little cards could contain so much meaning, philosophy, art history, and psychology. Yet it does. Tarot books and decks are your gateway to a shimmering city of possibility. Only one question matters. How far are you willing to go? And that was Sasha Graham. I really loved that description. I know it was a little long. Sorry to read something so long on here, but I loved the description of the Tarot City. It's just great because it kind of walks you through a little bit of the history, gives you a glimpse of how the tarot has been used through the years. And as far as I'm concerned, how it can still be used. I'm super interested, and I've been starting since we started talking about, restarting the tarot study in learning the original game of the tarot. And I don't know, there are some books and stuff, and I'm hoping I can find enough of it that I can kind of piece together the game. And that's something I, may do a separate video on at some point because I think that would be super interesting. But I think today there's all kinds of ways that we can use the tarot, and that just kind of touched on some of them. In spell work, in ceremonial magic, in energy work, in fortune telling, just looking into your own psyche and shadow work. And the tarot can open up so much. And it's such a big part of, for me as a pagan, it's such a big part of my magical practice that even if I'm not feeling it, there are days, months, a year sometimes that I just am like, I just feel like I've lost my mojo. Like I'm not quite getting out of the universe what I know the universe has for me. Even at those times, if I can pull a daily card, it opens up a whole lot. And it opens up energies. It carry that card around with you. Use it as an energy booster to boost the energy that spirit wants you to have in your life. Interesting, because that book I found in my Nana's things after she passed said that you could store your occult books out of sight. Didn't think of a connection of them being stolen, right? Yeah, I know. It's hard to imagine somebody being so silly that they would steal anything from a witch shop, I have to say. Although nowadays, tarot is, and all witchy things are not necessarily relegated to witch shops, right? So I guess if you went into Barnes and Noble and you were a thief and decided that you were going to steal a tarot deck, I suppose that that may not have the same connotation as stealing from, an actual witch store. Because I know every witch store that I've ever worked at, we have put energetic blockings on the stuff that is there. And if people did steal, which to me, it's funny, every occult and witch store in my town has massive theft issues. Ooh, they do not know how to protect their belongings then. Because I will tell you, we did not have a whole lot of, now we did have cameras, but we did not have a whole lot of thievery. And we had put energy in the store that if people stole stuff, that there was other things going home with them that they did not want to deal with. So people are pretty brave to be stealing from a witch shop. I can only find the first 2 of those books. The third one is the thickest one, I will say, and is the compendium. And again, lots and lots of interesting information. The third one is the one that goes through each card individually and talks about what the correspondences are for each card, and has a lot of the astrological stuff in there. It's, I don't know, it's really a good one. They all are good in their own way. Different information in each thing. Okay, how are we doing? Oh gosh, we're at 50 minutes. Okay, let's quickly go through the history. Like I said, I don't want to do a deep dive into history. If somebody is really interested in the tarot history, I would love to do like a weekend course or something on the history of tarot, because it's so super interesting. It's really a cool study. But we're going to start with the very beginnings of tarot. And it began in the time of the Renaissance, the time of Leonardo da Vinci. So these artists were painting tarot cards, tarot paintings, like right next to Leonardo da Vinci. And it began in Italy. They believe Milan, there's three Milan or Ferrara, around 1440. So the year 1440. The first deck they believe was the turn the page. The first earliest known deck they believe was the Visconti Tarot, which was painted for, and they were done for rich people. It was painted for Filippo Maria Visconti, who was the Duke of Milan. This is the first known tarot that we have found. Some of the deck afterwards that is in somewhat of a similar way that we look at the tarot today, at least some of the same kind of cards. And then there was also a deck called the Visconti Sforza deck. And that was shortly after his death, the Duke's death. Actually, I believe it was painted before that, because it was painted for Francesco Sforza, who married the Duke of Milan's only daughter. It was painted by the Italian painter Bonifacio Bembo, who was the court painter. He was the painter for the royal court for the Duke of Milan. And so he actually painted 3 decks that they know of. They're called the luxury decks. There's 3 luxury decks that were found in some disarray. Not all the decks are complete. None of the decks are complete. The Sforza deck, the Visconti Sforza deck, there are 4 missing cards in that deck, which are the Devil, the Tower, the Knight of Pentacles, and the 3 of Swords were never found. So when we think of the 78 cards that we know of today, those 4 cards were not in this deck, so it was incomplete. They're not even certain that those, at least the Devil card and the Tower card, they're not certain that they would have been included. Sometimes the major arcana cards were named a little bit differently. There were not always 22 of the same cards. So it was a little different thing. They were used as a card game in this time when they were painted. They were painted using, I'll show you some examples. I forgot I took my husband's phone so I could show you some examples of the Visconti Sforza deck. They were painted using these gorgeous gold images. That would be the World card. The Sun card. And they were painted for these rich court people as a playing card game. It was a game that they sat down, and the major arcana were the trump cards. There are 6 cards in this deck, the Visconti Sforza, that they think the original artist there, Bonifacio, did not paint these 6 cards. And they are the cards that I'm showing you now. So they are the World's card. They believe that another artist painted it because it seems a little bit like it's a little bit different style than the rest of the deck. So they believe that another artist actually painted these 6 cards. So it would have been the World's card. Where is it? Yep. Tarot. Oh, there we go. World card. The Sun card. Similar in style, but apparently they can tell that the artist is different. The Moon card. They believe that was a different one. The Star. And it's funny, there's a lot of the same woman, right? Temperance, same woman. And Fortitude, which was strength. So those 6 cards, they believe, were a different artist. Yes, you can buy replica Visconti decks. Absolutely. This is the deck that I have a replication of. And it's in this gorgeous gold. I'm sure I have an unboxing of it on my channel. This is the Lover's card. See the Cupid there. You can buy reproductions, and they have reproduced what they believe those missing cards would have been or would have looked like. So they've reproduced the Tower, the Devil, the Knight of Pentacles, and the Three of Swords. They've reproduced to be in the same kind of style as those cards so that it's a complete deck. But was not original. You just have to know that it wasn't quite original. So Visconti Sforza, this is a portrait of Francesco and Bianca Visconti that the same artist did of the couple that this deck was made for. So hopefully you can see. And you will see that a lot of the cards look like this couple. And so that's the reason that I'm showing you, is so that you can see, like, the Lover's card. To me, if we now look at the Lover's card, they tried to have the Lover's card be that couple. Where'd it go? That Lover's card looks just like that couple. Besides the Knight, the other 3 cards are cards that people wouldn't want to get. Maybe they were lost on purpose, right? That's true. Maybe but don't forget that at the time it was not used for fortune telling. It was used for playing the game of tarocchi or tarot. There was another word for it, but tarocchi was what it was called. It was a playing card game with tricks like that. You tried to win tricks. Apparently it was kind of like bridge, which I do not know how to play, but I play euchre, which has tricks too. Like you have to win the tricks, and the trump cards were the major arcana. So a lot of the cards had the symbology in it that we're used to, but looked like these rich people, the Duke of Milan, that the cards were created for. This is the Death card, which I always love. You can see that's a Death card that is in a lot of like Marseille decks. And then the minor arcana cards, there was the standard 4 Italian suits, cups, swords, batons, which would have been wands, and coins, which would have been pentacles. How do you not know how to play bridge? I know. Weren't you around when the game was invented? I'm going to beat you up, mister. I was not around when the game was invented, you brat. And they were pip cards. And there was 56 of them. So that all those different four suits with the values from 1 to 10, and a king, queen, knight, and knave. Brat. So this was like the Ace of Cups. And it was a pep deck, but how beautiful. Oh, here's, I love this one. This is the Hanged Man card. Pookie. Pookie's such a brat. This is the Queen of Coins, or the Queen of Pentacles. But I love the gold in these. This is the Pope. Him and the Emperor were the highest trump cards. So you talk about the trump cards in, I think of euchre, but if you know how to play bridge, apparently they have trump cards in bridge. The highest of the trump cards were the Pope and the Emperor. So he would have been one of the highest. And the Fool card, this was the High Priestess, which I love. The High Priestess has a little kid. You would think it would have been the Empress, but it was not. The Fool card was wild, like a wild card. So here we have, that is the swords, 10 of swords, I believe. I didn't really count them, but I believe that's the 10 of swords. So that's kind of where people get the pip cards from today. And so it was a game where you had to take tricks, and the rich people, or the well-off, the royal people in court, would have been the ones playing it. So when you were the Duke of Milan, you had a very famous painter at your disposal as your court painter at the time, and they would have been painting you a whole deck of these cards, which were apparently a little bit bigger than we think of as, a deck. Not huge though, because they did have to shuffle them. And so that came about in the late 1400s and went on until about, I think it was, I want to say late 1500s. I have a little timeline here. 1500 to 1650. So there's a whole timeline here. 1500 to 1650, it started being played in taverns. So it trickled down finally to the poor people, learned how to play this game. And the poor people started playing in taverns, and they used it as a gambling game. In here, hopefully I can find it, is a picture now. Instead of, when it got down to the poor people, they of course did not have, famous artists painting their cards. So instead they had blocks, a print block of the entire deck, which would have looked like this. That's them, like a print shop. That's how they printed it. And that is like what the blocks look like. And so they would have put color onto these blocks of wood that were carved and then pressed onto paper. And then they would individually cut out the paper so that, the poor people, the taverns, that kind of thing, you could have a deck that way. Obviously, they weren't going to paint each individual card for the tavern's use or for regular everyday use. And so it was played as a card game for a long time. Up until the 1900s, it was played as a card game, and it kind of spread all over the place. And then it kind of, somewhere around 1950, it kind of died out, and not a lot of people really know how to play anymore, apparently. The Marseille decks spread all over Europe around 1650. So somewhere almost 1700, 1650 to 1750. Somewhere in that span, the Marseille decks came out. Divination, so using the deck as fortune telling or divination, did not start at all until somewhere around 1750. So it was out for a good like 300 years as a game before anybody thought to use them for fortune telling. I think that's super interesting. I love the fact that, here it was out for a long time, and someone suddenly went, hey, I feel a different energy from these cards. Let's see if we ask it questions, if it will, imbue it. The thing that is really funny to me is that there's a specific, see if I can find this. Oh goodness, I thought I had this up already. There is a specific, the first mention of tarot, before anybody had found those tarot decks, those 3 tarot decks, the first mention of tarot was from something that was trying to get rid of tarot. And it was called Sermon de Ludo. And see if my father's going to die here. The first written occurrence of the word Tarachi is found in the Steel Sermon, published around 1450. So it became Bridge. Published around 1450. And what that Steel Sermon was a written decree that tarot was illegal. And so they decided that it was against religious, it was not a good thing to do religion wise. That they didn't want people to be playing this awful Tarachi game, because people were gambling and looking at these cards, which of course nobody wants to see your asshole, buddy. Which of course, don't break it. Were, the devil card is in there, the lover's card is in there, death is in there. So it became, of course, the religious people saw it as a threat, I'm sure. And so they were trying to get people to stop playing, which I found very interesting. And then it goes from there towards more modern things. And like I said, I don't want to go into a whole lot of the Pamela Coleman Smith and all that, but the Arthur Waite and Pamela Coleman Smith, they did their deck in 1909. It was first published. And that was for the Golden Dawn. And so they were all, as was Aleister Crowley, who then did a different kind of deck, the Thoth deck, which was not until 1942. So before that, there was a few decks that had come out, but not many. There was a big change in the, I swear it was 70s. Let me look. The big change was that Robin Wood Tarot. When the Robin Wood Tarot came out, that was a big change, because before that, it was very much esoteric. Had a lot of religious iconography in there. The images were very religious, which is, it makes me laugh that they really thought that it was a horrible, oh no, you might go to hell if you're using these Tarachi cards. It's too funny to me. Kabbalah, got into a lot of Kabbalah stuff. I don't know where I read about the Rider-Waite. I mean, not Rider-Waite, the Robin Wood. The Robin Wood Tarot, I believe was, go back in the very beginning here. Sorry, guys. I just want to find, because I was really surprised at how late it really started, I feel like I thought it was a lot earlier than when the Robin Wood Tarot came out, that it changed into, it didn't always have to be about religion. But I don't think it was until the 1970s. It might have been even later than that. Wonder what Waite Smith would think of the plethora of decks we have now, right? I have the Robin Wood too, another one that I would have taken out tonight for tonight's study. But it's in storage and I didn't want to try to go through that. So my point in at least in the beginning of looking at the very beginnings of tarot is that to me, I really feel like spirit and the universe and the energies of the universe wanted to give us a tool. And I see tarot as a tool to use to bring out our own intuition, to bring out energies that we feel around us, to help people know what direction energetically wise to turn to help with their problems, with how they're getting through life, to help them to figure out what to focus on next. People talk about the fortune telling aspect of it, and I don't want to say I see that as all charlatans, because I don't believe that all of them are charlatans. I don't. I do think that you need to be careful if someone is charging you money, though. Again, it reminds me of that Tarot City that we read in the beginning was very good, because I know today of people, actually, I know of someone in my town today who has told people in a reading before that they saw a demon energy attached to them and could help them out with it for this much money. We could figure out how to, and that ticked me off so bad, because I don't at all think that tarot should be used that way. So just, I guess my point is to just be aware of who you're getting your readings from, which is why I think everyone who's interested in spirit and in energy and in spiritual energy in the universe and that kind of thing, it would be great if everyone could at least get their own basic understanding of the tarot, because it's a great tool to use for yourself and for those around you. To me, there's times that I think, I just am not feeling it, or I'm kind of feel lost and I'm not quite sure what to focus on, what it is that I don't feel the universe really reaching out to me and telling me what direction I'm supposed to be looking in lately. It's a great tool to pull out a couple cards and be able to look at them and think, you know what, this makes a lot of sense, right? I love when tarot kind of calls us out and says, okay, idiot, you have been looking in this direction because you're really focused on this, but that's not what you want. You want to focus on something totally different, or you've been focusing in the right direction, but you need someone's help. So seek out a teacher or seek out a friend help. Or to me, that is such a great way to use the tarot. And so I do think that everyone is able to have at least a basic understanding of tarot. And if we all had that basic understanding, then I think it would make some things easier in life, for sure. At least for those of us who believe in those energies, right? Okay. So I think we should dive right in and start next week with the Fool card. Am I gonna do that? Is that right? Yeah, let's do that. 11, I'm not sure where to go. Either the High Priestess, the Hierophant, or one of the queens comes out. Yes. For me, a lot of times it's High Priestess or Magician. The Magician comes around a lot to remind me, like, hey, lady, you have all the tools in front of you and you know how to use them. So pick up a tool, figure out what tool it is that you feel connected to today, and use it to generate the manifestation of what it is you need. And I think, oh yeah, Duh. I have it in, it's like the old adage. You have it in you already. You just have to be told, hey, duh, you have it in you, right? Okay, so let's start with the Fool next week. I would love to see your Fool cards in the group. I did post the event already. I will kind of update it to say that we're going to be going to the Fool. Let's see your Fool cards there. And we will talk about the symbology of the Fool, how the Fool starts his journey, what that means, how to read it, what symbols are on it. Yes, the Magician is the card for manifestation, and how you are going to demonstrate how you will put your energy in. Yes. Does that sound good? Click the like button on the way out for me, guys. I love you so much. I'm so glad to see you guys all back. And we'll continue. Next week is another week. I'm excited to be starting back. I really missed everyone, and it'll be nice. And I will try to do other videos besides just Tarot Tuesday, but this does. What about the shadow workbook? Okay. I will do another video talking about the shadow work stuff. I haven't been able to do the videos. I just got caught up in stuff, and I don't know if it's going to be a whole series now, or if we're just going to do maybe 2 or 3 videos on shadow work, which I think maybe, because I have such great ideas, and I just don't have the space in where I'm living with all these people. And it seems like the time to do it as much justice as I want to be doing. But it'll be at least 2 or 3 videos for it. But I will do another video to talk more about the shadow. Okay. Yes. I want it to be a thing, and I have the books, and I'm so excited about it. And then I just haven't had the time to do it all. Okay. I love you guys. Good night, and have a great night. And I'll see you next week, if not before.